Welcome to Abundant Youniverse, your go-to podcast for becoming your wisest, most empowered, abundant, aligned, and embodied self through quantum healing, self-mastery, mindful manifestation, and conscious creation. Here we talk about your self-concept, subconscious beliefs, science, manifestation, spirituality, mysticism, magic, remembering and embodying who you really are, and all things esoteric. I'm your friendly neighborhood self-mastery and mindful manifestation mentor, quantum healer, spiritual activator, certified science nerd, and host, Elle Brandlin. And this week's episode is going to blow your whole mind, so get ready, maybe go put a hat on so you can, catch the pieces of your fucking mind. You're especially going to like this if you are, like me, someone who needs to understand how stuff works, at least as much as possible, to fully integrate and be able to implement what you learn. So if that's you, get comfy, stick around till the end so that you can get every delicious brain-bending morsel, because by the end, you'll have a much better understanding of how to master your reality as quickly and effortlessly as possible. And don't forget to subscribe wherever you're listening, and even rate and review it if you don't mind. And if you want to sit in on live episodes, please be sure to join the Discord community, which is linked in the show notes or description box if you're listening on YouTube. And without any further ado, let's dig in. My intention today is to explain a little more of the science of manifestation, but I want to be really clear. What I believe is that we're actually timeline shifting, or reality shifting if you prefer, because we're always doing that every single second of the day, whether we know it or not. It's just that the new timelines don't usually look radically or even any different than the old ones look. But that's due to our beliefs and predominant thoughts. But it really simplifies everything about manifestation. I'm using air quotes, but you can't see it. When you understand it this way. So I'm going to break it down for you from my current level of understanding, which was expanded by a couple of masterclasses I attended recently. So quantum physics shows that we live in a universe of probabilities, not certainties. So let's talk a little bit about the concept of predeterminism. Ooh, we're having fun today. Is it real, though? I'm going to say yes, but not the way we usually think of it. In my mind, the future is predetermined, but by all of the probabilities that exist in the quantum field. Creation is already done means that literally every single possibility and probability you can imagine, and the ones you can't, already exist as timelines in the quantum field. And with each observation we make with our physical senses, thoughts, and imagination, the probabilities of our future events can change. But they all already exist in the quantum field. So according to the Copenhagen interpretation of quantum mechanics, the consciously observed wave function in the quantum field is the one that collapses into the one possibility that becomes the conscious observer's physical reality. And if you didn't quite get that, just hang in there with me. I'm going to explain in a more understandable way, I promise. So what I want to ask you to consider right now is, what are you observing about your current physical reality, and is it what you want? If not, you have to understand that by continuing to focus on your undesired 3D circumstances, or observe them, complain about them, worry about them, etc., you're continually shifting into timelines where they still exist. So this is why it's so important to shift your focus away from the things you don't want anymore. But also, by changing your thoughts, you can change your observations about your current physical reality, which in turn changes the events of the future. So this is where the law of assumption and your reticular activating system come in. And if you don't know what your RAS is or does, go check out my video on YouTube about it, because it will explain so much about your current reality if you don't already know what it is and how it works. But that is why only your state of being matters and your circumstances do not. We can't change matter with matter. So you can't change your 3D experience, your 3D physical circumstances, because they are already predetermined. Because literally everything is. Every possible outcome to every possible event that could ever possibly happen has been predetermined as a probability by infinite intelligence, and they all exist in the quantum field. Which is why it's silly to try and make our physical minds figure things out for us when we can just listen to our intuitions, which come from divine mind or infinite intelligence. But I digress. The point is, we can control our internal state, which is energy, because thoughts and emotions are energy, right? And that is what makes up our internal state. And energy is the only thing that can change matter. Only in this case, it's not changing the matter around you. So the physical matter in your 3D reality is not changing around you, because that is predetermined for that timeline. It's changing your matter, so to speak, so that you can shift into another predetermined reality / timeline that you like better than the one you're in now. You are literally quantum jumping into a reality where the outcome of the future is different. But you're always shifting into new timelines or realities depending on your thoughts and observations, because observing a wave function is what collapses it into reality. So I really hope this is landing, because it's really, really important to understand this concept, because as soon as you do, you can really, I hate to keep repeating myself, but you can really, really master your reality once you get this. So this is why you don't have to know how something is going to happen, because you're shifting into another reality or other timelines. In my mind, that's more accurate. So all you have to know is the end or the outcome that you want. The how will depend upon the timelines you shift through to get to your final destination, again, so to speak, because there are infinite timelines with varying degrees of differences. And for a little more understanding on this, check my YouTube channel for the masterclass that I just did on the principle of vibration, because I think that will help some things come together for you as well. So some of the timelines have virtually no detectable differences at all, but the differences get bigger and bigger the further away from your original timeline you get. And I believe this is what Neville was talking about with the bridge of incidents. We're on a first name basis. Neville Goddard, though, in case you are unfamiliar, known as the father of law of assumption. Look him up on YouTube, tons and tons of content. But he always talked about the bridge of incidents, which in my mind is what it looks like when you're shifting through timelines. Probably especially when you're doing it quickly, because the more quickly you're shifting, the more surreal things are going to seem. So the reason that shit gets surreal and even magical is not because you're bringing crazy things into your reality, but because you are shifting into timelines that are different enough from your old one that some things are unfamiliar to you. And like I said, if you're doing it fast, things are going to look kind of weird, right? But usually we shift into timelines that don't look any different than the current one because we're not changing ourselves. We're not changing our beliefs and what we think about most of the time. So even though it's a different timeline, we remain on the same life path, if that makes sense. But have you ever gone to get something in your house that you knew was in a specific place, but when you went to look for it, it wasn't there? And then later, you found it in a totally different place and you thought you were losing your mind. Has that ever happened to you? Or maybe you asked someone that you lived with, like, hey, did you move this thing? And they were like, no, why would I do that? That is one way that you might be able to tell you've shifted into a timeline that's at least slightly different than the one that you were just in. So if you are listening on YouTube, I would love to see in the comments if that's ever happened to you. Like, tell us about it. What was your experience? What was the thing that clued you in? It might not be something like exactly what I said. It might be that you go to a restaurant and it's like a favorite restaurant of yours, and all of a sudden the menu is completely different. Something like that. And that is a way that you can tell that you are in a different timeline. So I hope that makes sense. But once we start the inner work on our self-concept, beliefs, and stories, that's when we can start to experience what people refer to as quantum leaps. That's also when miracles start happening, or, what appears to be a miracle, like right out of the blue. And all of this is why literally all you have to do when you feel a desire come on is decide it's yours, because it is, affirm and imagine having it in the present tense. So get your thoughts and emotions, your head and heart into alignment, and allow yourself to shift into the reality where it has already hardened into fact. So it's important to ignore what is in your current 3D reality and commit to the new one. You have to make sure your predominant thoughts are on what you want, because if you focus more on contingency plans that suck but make you feel safe than what you actually want, you're going to stay on timelines where you keep getting the contingency plan instead of your desired outcome. Ask me how I know. That was a safety thing for me for a very long time because of my childhood. I had to know exactly what could go wrong at any given moment so that I could plan for it and keep myself safe. And that did not serve me in my adulthood. Let me tell you. The other thing you have to really remember, embrace, understand, and know with every fiber of your being is that time, the way that we experience it, is an illusion. Remember how Doc used to tell Marty he wasn't thinking fourth dimensionally in the Back to the Future trilogy? If you've seen it, if you've not seen it, what the hell are you doing with your life? Go watch it. Uh, but anyway, most of us have this issue because that's how we experience time. We experience it in a linear fashion, but that's only because we are in 3D reality. So here's how you can think of it, and I hope this helps. Time is the space between you and the timeline where you actually have your desire, because you're most likely to shift into multiple timelines within varying degrees of your undesired reality until you shift into your preferred timeline. And the amount of time, 3D time, that takes is entirely up to how quickly you can let go of any resistance and limiting beliefs that are keeping you stuck on unwanted timelines. I do believe it's possible to shift yourself directly into the timeline where you have your desire, even if it's a huge jump. But I think most people are experiencing subtle shifts that don't feel like anything is happening, and they don't notice any major differences. So they think there's no movement, and they wind up staying in the same type of timeline because they keep manifesting no movement in their reality. They're just a little like further in the future as we experience it, but it's the same timeline, right? I mean, it's a different timeline, but it's the same reality that they keep experiencing over and over again. So if you don't want to do that, you just have to change your beliefs and the assumptions that they created, your old beliefs, and the thoughts that you think throughout the day. And you have to be able to persist. You have to be able to not be triggered by what you see around you, what your physical senses are telling you, because it's an illusion. And the quicker you let go of resistance, the faster you're going to find yourself in your preferred timeline. So I hope this makes sense and it helps you understand how this really works a little more, because I believe it will help you master your reality more quickly. But if you want my help mastering your reality really quickly, I have an amazing new 30-day mini program starting on January 2nd, 2023, called Empowered and Embodied Youniverse. And we're legit going to reprogram your thoughts and rewire your mind within 30 days, thanks to a divine download I received with the exact process for how to speed that up most safely and effectively using my signature self-concept code that I've had for a while, plus science-backed daily exercises. And it's fucking amazing, you guys. My own internal shifts and shifts in my thought patterns have been astounding. So we are just going to quantum jump into a whole new timeline in 2023, and I'm so fucking excited. So check the show notes or description box to learn more about that and get it on the Black Friday special, because I was guided to create that for those who might have a smaller budget right now, because your current budget should not stop you from making having a budget a thing of the past. Because that is what we're talking about, abundance in all aspects of your life. And we are going to rewire your mind in 30 days so that you are on the path, right? We are going to carve new neural pathways in your brain that lead you to the timeline that you prefer to be on very, very quickly. And remember, you deserve to live the magical life of abundance, peace, joy, ease, and flow your soul came here to live. And I believe in you, so you should too. Much love.